You've come for the egg.
Here it is.
Welcome to Ms. Mojo, and today we're counting down our picks for the top 10 Game of Thrones Easter eggs in House of the Dragon.
It was an ugly thing, I regret it.
We play an ugly game.
For this list, we're looking at the subtlest and/or most notable little details and references connecting this HBO prequel series with its flagship show over the course of its first season. If you haven't seen either series yet, there will be spoilers. Were there any other Easter eggs you noticed? Light up the comments below. Number 10. The beginning is the end and the beginning. Which is all to say that House of the Dragon starts off similarly to how Game of Thrones ends and begins.
It is declared by all the lords paramount and lords vassal of the Seven Kingdoms that Prince Viserys Targaryen be made Prince of Dragonstone.
To clarify, the prologue for the former shows us the appointment of King Viserys after a great council ponders the succession with no clear-cut heir. Something similar happens in the finale of Thrones when the sitting lords of the Seven Kingdoms settle on Bran.
Will you lead the Seven Kingdoms to the best of your abilities from this day until your last day?
Why do you think I came all this way?
Meanwhile, House of the Dragon also echoes the previous show's premiere by depicting the death of an Arryn. Much like how the murder of Hand of the King Jon Arryn kicks off the War of the Five Kings, the death of Queen Aemma lights the spark for the Dance of Dragons.
Dracarys!
As George Lucas would say, it's like poetry, it rhymes. Number 9. The Laws of Gods and Men. Unless you know the name of every episode of Game of Thrones, you're liable to miss a few references here and there. Case in point, Sir Otto Hightower's conversation with Alicent in episode 3.
Does this not please you?
With Alicent reluctant to have her son Aegon usurp Rhaenyra as heir to the Iron Throne, Otto reminds her of Aegon's birthright with a very familiar phrase.
To deny that he is heir to the throne is to assail the laws of gods and men.
Indeed. The Laws of Gods and Men is the title of the 6th episode of Thrones Season 4, which is memorable for seeing Tyrion put on trial for Joffrey's murder.
You admit you poisoned the king?
No. Of that I'm innocent. I'm guilty of a far more monstrous crime. I'm guilty of being a dwarf.
Honestly, we love any reference to that standout episode, but the only further connection we can think of is the House of the Dragon one also featuring the Lannisters, and often not in a becoming light.
Lord Jason Lannister.
Gathered that from all the lions.
Number 8. A familiar actor. Speaking of Jason Lannister, you might be thinking to yourself that he and his twin brother Tyland look awfully familiar.
I bring urgent news from the Stepstones. The Crabfeeder has dug in for siege on Bloodstone while his men sabotage our fleet under the cover of dark.
Not today, Tyler.
Both are played by the actor Jefferson Hall, whom you might recognize for being in the 2018 Halloween movie. However, you'd be forgiven for forgetting that Hall has played a Westerosi character before.
I'm sorry, I didn't catch your name, sir.
No, sir. Not tonight.
I see. Well, it just so happens that I am.
Back in Game of Thrones Season 1, Hall appeared as Sir Hugh of the Vale. He doesn't last long, as he is promptly killed in a joust with Gregor Clegane. Thankfully for Hall, his characters managed to survive the first season. And even if they don't last much longer, they likely won't have to posthumously deal with false claims of killing the Hand of the King like Sir Hugh did.
Pity what happened to him, just when his life seemed to be going so nicely.
If Sir Hugh poisoned him, who paid Sir Hugh?
Someone who could afford it.
Number 7. Kingdom of Ash and Bone. Though they're different in their own right, Rhaenyra and Daenerys Targaryen were going to be compared to each other no matter what. And this callback will only further that likeness.
The simple truth is this: we have more dragons than Aegon.
Viserys spoke often of the Valyrian histories. I know them well. When dragons flew to war, everything burned. I do not wish to rule over a kingdom of ash and bone.
In the season finale, when Daemon suggests leaning into their dragon advantage and dealing with the Greens, Rhaenyra shrewdly rejects this notion, aware of the fiery devastation that campaign would have on Westeros.
If Viserys had 3 dragons and an army at his back, he'd have invaded King's Landing already.
Conquering Westeros would be easy for you. But you're not here to be Queen of the Ashes.
Her use of the ash motif harkens back to something Tyrion says and Dany echoes during the latter's conquest in Season 7 of Thrones.
I am not here to be Queen of the Ashes. That's very nice to hear.
Despite Dany's best intentions, that is exactly what she becomes when she sacks King's Landing. Let's just hope Rhaenyra can resist the temptation of abusing that kind of power.
You freed your brother. You committed treason.
I freed my brother. And you slaughtered a city.
Number 6. Wedding traditions. Weddings can be a royal pain, especially in Westeros. The Red Wedding in Game of Thrones did not go as planned.
The Lannisters send their regards.
Neither did Joffrey's wedding to Marjorie, although we can't say we were sorry. House of the Dragon's wedding between Rhaenyra and Laenor stayed true to this tradition. At the welcome feast, Sir Criston Cole brutally beat Laenor's lover Joffrey Lonmouth to death.
You've yet to ask me for the truth of what happened.
The truth does not match.
Joffreys don't seem to fare well on either show. At least House of the Dragon is keeping things consistent. Incidentally, in the book Fire and Blood, things play out slightly differently, with Criston fatally wounding Joffrey during a joust. Number 5. Promise Me. Viserys' speech to Rhaenyra at the end of the first episode has oodles of callbacks to Game of Thrones, but we bet this one flew under most people's radars.
Promise me this, Rhaenyra. Promise me.
The exact words, "Promise me this, Rhaenyra, promise me," may not seem like much, but they're actually eerily similar to another pivotal moment in Game of Thrones.
You're not a dream.
No, I'm not a dream. I'm here.
In the Season 6 finale, Bran's vision takes him to the Tower of Joy, where Lyanna Stark gives birth to Jon Snow. We don't hear Lyanna telling her brother Ned that Rhaegar Targaryen is the father, but when she similarly has Ned promise to keep Jon safe, her words are almost the same as Viserys's, save for the name change.
Promise me, Ned. Promise me.
Number 4. The Crabfeeder's Mask. While many fans were debating on whether or not the Crabfeeder has grayscale, he does. Another aspect of his appearance is perhaps an even curiouser detail.
House Valyrian is coming for you!
As is plain to see, the Crabfeeder, real name Craghas Drahar, has taken to covering his face with a broken mask, one he got from a shipwreck.
The Crabfeeder is backed by powerful entities within the Free Cities who wish to see Westeros weakened. And the king's failures have allowed him to accumulate strength.
The mask itself is of Giscari origin, so it's unsurprising that it's fashioned after the symbol of the Giscari Empire, the Harpy. Anyone who watched Game of Thrones Seasons 5 and 6 will know the Sons of the Harpy, a brutal gang of Marinese rebels who oppose Daenerys' rule. They too wear Harpy masks. It's an interesting connection between two insurgencies that take place centuries apart. Number 3. You Are No Son of Mine.
What is it? What is it? What is it? That's all you can say for yourself.
Something happened.
Obviously, House of the Dragon has a lot of dialogue that recalls famous Game of Thrones quotes. And this one is no different. Upon learning of Aegon's transgressions with Diana the serving girl in Episode 8, Alicent scolds her son with the words,
"You are no son of mine."
Though the inflection and delivery are not entirely the same, the words are shared with someone else who also virtually presided over the realm, Tywin Lannister.
You're no son of mine.
I am your son. I have always been your son.
Tywin says this to his son Tyrion, though they turn out to be famous last words, as Tyrion then fatally shoots him with a crossbow. Thankfully, things go a little better for Alicent here, as her familial relationships seem at least a little better. Baby steps. Number 2. Dreamfire's Daenerys connection. The great MacGuffin in Episode 2 is the dragon egg that Daemon spirits away to Dragonstone.
Go to your throne when Daemon Leitas.
As mentioned, the egg is from the dragon Dreamfire, who may have a serious connection to Game of Thrones' Daenerys. In the books, Dreamfire is ridden by Aegon the Conqueror's granddaughter Rhaena Targaryen. At one point, Rhaena's sister-in-law/lover Elisa similarly steals some of Dreamfire's eggs. While not confirmed, it has been speculated that these eggs are the ones that eventually end up in Daenerys' possession at the very beginning of A Song of Ice and Fire.
Dragon's eggs, Daenerys, from the Shadowlands beyond Ashai. The ages have turned them to stone, but they will always be beautiful.
While we barely see Dreamfire herself in the first season of House of the Dragon, she could just be the mother to Drogon, Rhaegal, and Viserion.
Dracarys.
Before we unveil our top pick, here are some honorable mentions. Sir Harold Westerling resigns. The controversial succession of a king leads to a new Lord Commander of the Kingsguard on both shows.
Your Grace.
The Council has determined that Sir Jaime Lannister will take your place as Lord Commander of the Kingsguard.
Play. Rhaenyra and Daemon witness a political play in much the same vein as the one Arya watches.
Poison! Murder! Oh my God! I die! I limp!
Candle in the window. Sansa's fails in Game of Thrones, but Talia's definitely gets the message across.
My condolences on the passing of your king.
Royal inheritance. Jace and Luke look even less like Laenor than Joffrey Baratheon looks like Robert.
Do keep trying, Selena. Sooner or later you may get one who looks like you.
Choose violence. Otto Hightower and Cersei Lannister have similar vocabularies.
To choose violence here is to declare war against your king.
I choose violence.
Before we continue, be sure to subscribe to our channel and ring the bell to get notified about our latest videos. You have the option to be notified for occasional videos or all of them. If you're on your phone, make sure you go into your settings and switch on notifications. Number 1. Valyrian Steel Dagger. This Easter egg may be obvious for those who recognize it, but it's undeniably the single greatest connection to Game of Thrones on House of the Dragon.
Aegon called his dream the Song of Ice and Fire. This secret, it's been passed from king to heir since Aegon's time. Now you must promise to carry it and protect it.
Though not outright stated, it's evident that the Valyrian steel dagger in the possession of Viserys for most of the season is the same one that appears in pivotal moments on Thrones. First, when an assassin fails to kill Bran, and second, when Arya slays the Night King and ends the Great War. This proves especially thematic considering the text etched into the dagger, as Aegon the Conqueror's prophecy foretells of the prince that was promised, who's destined to save the world of the living.
From my blood come the prince that was promised, and his will be the Song of Ice and Fire.
Do you agree with our picks? Check out this other recent clip from Ms. Mojo, and be sure to subscribe and ring the bell to be notified about our latest videos.